You've saved 100 grand. That's not nothing. That's years of discipline, of saying no to things, of watching the number in your account slowly climb while your mates were spending theirs. But here's the part nobody tells you. Saving it was actually the easier half, because right now that money is sitting in an account quietly losing value. And the longer it just sits there while you figure out your next move, the more of it gets quietly eaten by inflation, by opportunity cost, by time you're never getting back. So today, we're going through exactly what to do with $100,000 in Australia, step by step. So your money finally stops just sitting there and starts doing the heavy lifting for you. Let's get one thing out of the way first. If you've actually managed to save $100,000, you're already doing better than most Australians. The average Aussie has roughly $42,000 in savings. You've got more than double that. That matters. But it also means the decisions you make right now are going to matter more than almost anything else you do financially in the next decade. And the biggest mistake I see people make at this exact moment, paralysis. They don't know whether to throw it into property, pile it into super, chuck it in ETFs, or just leave it in a high-interest savings account and hope for the best so they do nothing. And doing nothing when you've got 100 grand sitting idle is genuinely one of the most expensive decisions you can make. Here's the plan. Let's build it together. 1. Emergency fund first. Boring but non-negotiable. I know this isn't the exciting part, but if you skip this, everything else falls apart. Before you invest a single dollar, you need a proper emergency buffer locked away somewhere you won't touch it. We're talking 3 to 6 months of your actual living expenses, rent or mortgage, groceries, utilities, transport, the lot. For most Australians, that's somewhere between $15,000 and $30,000 depending on your situation. And right now, there is genuinely no reason that money should be sitting in a transaction account earning next to nothing. High-interest savings accounts from providers like ING, UBank and Robobank are currently offering ongoing rates around 5 to 5.5% if you meet their monthly conditions, with some introductory rates going higher again. That's your sleep at night money. It's not your investment money. It's the buffer that means when your car blows up or your hot water system gives out or work goes sideways, you handle it in cash, not credit. Because nothing derails a long-term investment plan faster than being forced to sell at the wrong time because you didn't have a buffer. Park it. Forget it. Move on. 2. Kill the high-interest debt. Here's a question worth sitting with. Why would you invest money hoping to earn 12 or 15% a year when you're paying 18 to 22% on a credit card balance in the background? You wouldn't. And yet, heaps of people do exactly that. Paying off a $10,000 credit card at 20% interest isn't just smart. It's the equivalent of locking in a guaranteed tax-free 20% return. You won't find that on the ASX, not consistently. And once that debt is gone, those monthly repayments that were disappearing into the bank's pocket suddenly become yours. That's free cash flow. You can redirect straight into building wealth. Credit cards, personal loans, buy now, pay later balances. Clear them before you do anything else. Now, what about HECS? Because this is where a lot of Australians genuinely get confused. For the 2025 to 26 financial year, the HECS repayment system has changed in a pretty meaningful way. The minimum repayment threshold has moved up to $67,000, and you now only repay 15 cents for every dollar earned above that threshold. It's a marginal system now, which is actually a fairer way to do it. But here's the thing with HECS. It's indexed to CPI, not compounding like a mortgage or a personal loan. So in most cases, you're actually better off leaving HECS to tick along in the background and putting your money to work somewhere with a stronger return. Unless your balance is huge and it's stressing you out, voluntarily paying it down early usually isn't the highest value move. 3. ETFs. Let the market do the work. All right. Now we're getting to the good stuff. Once your buffer is locked in and your high interest debt is dealt with, the next move is getting your money into the market. And the simplest, most effective way for most Australians to do that is through ETFs, exchange traded funds. Think of an ETF like a basket. One purchase and you're instantly invested across hundreds, sometimes thousands, of companies at once. No stock picking, no spreadsheets, no needing to know whether ANZ or CBA is the better buy this quarter. The most popular options on the ASX right now include VAS, which tracks the top 300 Australian companies, IVV, which gives you exposure to the American S&P 500, and VGS, which spreads your money across global developed markets outside of Australia. A simple combination of 2 or 3 of these and you've got a diversified portfolio that a lot of professional fund managers can't consistently beat. Now, should you throw the whole lot in at once? You could. But a lot of people find it easier, psychologically and practically, to use dollar cost averaging instead. That means investing a set amount at regular intervals, maybe 5 or 10 grand a month. You buy more units when prices are low, fewer when they're high, and over time, your average entry price smooths out. It takes the emotion out of it, and honestly, removing emotion from investing is probably worth more than any specific stock pick you'll ever make. 4. The super strategy. Most people under 40 are sleeping on. I'm going to be upfront. Super is not the most exciting topic. You can't touch it until you're 60. It feels like a long way away. But the tax advantages are so significant that ignoring it is genuinely leaving money on the table. Here's how it works. For the 2025 to 26 financial year, the concessional contribution cap sits at $30,000. And from the 1st of July 2026, that's going up to $32,500. If you salary sacrifice into super, those contributions are taxed at just 15% instead of your marginal rate, which for most working Australians sits at 32.5% or even 37%. That's an immediate return just from the tax saving alone, before a single investment even moves. And here's the part almost nobody talks about: catch-up contributions. If your total super balance was under $500,000, at the end of the last financial year, you can carry forward any unused concessional cap from up to 5 previous years, which means some people can legally tip significantly more than $30,000 into super in a single year and claim a massive tax deduction for it. This is entirely within the rules. It's built into the system, and the vast majority of Australians have absolutely no idea it exists. If you're over 30 and you haven't looked at this, it's worth a conversation with a financial advisor. 5. Property. What's actually realistic? With $100,000, look, property is the great Australian dream, and $100 grand does give you options. Technically, 20% of a $500,000 property, which gets you in without lender's mortgage insurance. But let's be real. In Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane, $500,000 doesn't stretch as far as it used to. The good news? Since January 2026, the First Home Guarantee Scheme has had a proper shake-up. Income caps are gone. Annual place limits are gone. And you can now access the scheme with just a 5% deposit, meaning that $100 grand could get you into something worth considerably more with no LMI. But go in with your eyes open. Property comes with stamp duty, conveyancing fees, council rates, building insurance, maintenance, and a mortgage at current interest rates that needs to be serviced every single month. Regardless of what the market does, property can absolutely be a wealth-building vehicle, but it needs to fit your life, your income, and your risk tolerance. It's not automatically the right move just because it feels familiar. Here's how to deploy $100,000 clearly and simply. $20,000 into a high-interest savings account as your emergency fund, non-negotiable. Wipe any remaining high-interest debt before you do anything else. Before end of financial year, look at salary sacrificing into super to make the most of this year's cap. And with whatever's left, start a simple ETF portfolio, automated regular contributions, and then leave it alone for the long run. That's it. No complicated strategies, no insider secrets, just a clear, repeatable framework that actually works. The difference between Australians who retire genuinely comfortable and those who are still anxious about money in their 60s usually isn't income. It's what they did with moments exactly like this one, when they had a lump sum, a real choice, and the chance to set things up properly. And they either took it seriously or they didn't. You've already done the hard part. You saved it. Now make it work. If this gave you some clarity, hit subscribe and flick on notifications. We're covering more of this stuff regularly and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Cheers for watching. See you in the next one.